Seconded by Councillor Neal, that council will adopt the agendas as published on January 11th, 2018. 2018, and the revised agendas published on January 16th, 2018 for the meeting of January 16th, 2018.
Thank you, Councillor. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. I'll call for the adoption of the minutes, regular council meeting minutes held on December 19, 2017. Councillor Hanley.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, but
You don't have
I
it.
had my blue copy. I handed in the white one. I don't have a blue copy. Sorry. Thank you. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Longo, that the regular council meeting minutes of December 19, 2017 be hereby received and adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Hanley. Are there any items for discussion in these minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. General Committee meeting minutes of December 19, 2017. Councillor Whalen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Wilson, that the General Committee meeting minutes of December 19, 2017 be received and adopted.
Thank you, Councillor. Items for discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Special Council meeting minutes of December 19, 2017. Councillor Payon.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hanley, that the special council meeting minutes of December 19th, 2017 be hereby received and adopted.
Thank you, Councillor. Items for discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Operations Services Public Forum minutes of November 7th, 2017. Councillor Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Wilson, that the Operation Services Public Meeting Minutes of November the 7th, 2017 be hereby received and adopted.
Items for discussion? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Call for, are there any conflicts of interest, councillors? Seeing none, I'll move on. We have no public meetings tonight, but we have a very important recognition that I'm very, very proud to be able to present tonight. On behalf of City Council and our community, I would like to recognize a long-standing volunteer in our community who recently retired her position. Pamela Mintz has been the Secretary-Treasurer of the Heritage Thorold LACAC for the last 30 years and has been instrumental in the preservation of heritage buildings and sites in Thorold. Over the years, Pamela has been acknowledged with prestigious awards, including the Lieutenant Government's Ontario Heritage Award for Lifetime Achievement, recognizing her exceptional contribution to preserving and protecting the built, cultural, and natural heritage of Thorold, Niagara, and Ontario, and the A.K. Sculthorpe Award for Advocacy for the Architectural Conservancy of Ontario. Recently, the City of Thorold was bestowed the Prince of Wales Prize for demonstrating outstanding municipal heritage leadership. Pamela, through her position with Heritage Thorold LACAC, played a vital role to ensure Thorold received this significant award. Over the years, Pamela has volunteered with a dedication and passion to assist with the designation of heritage buildings and sites in our city. There is no doubt that your work has had a significant impact in our community, and we are all indebted to you. Your contributions will endure long into the future. Thank you for your hard work, dedication, and the generosity of your time to our community. Congratulations and happy retirement, Pamela, and I have a certificate up here for you I'd like to present to you.
You're right, go ahead. They need 6 people to vote for it, do they? They need 6 people to vote for it. 1, 2, 3 vote against it. Then you get 3 in the mayor's for it, 4 against.
Say a few words, and he said yes. So, I'm here. I went to school in Thorold. I've lived here a long time. I went to LG Gorman School and Thorold High School. And all the time I was coming across already. Okay. All the time I've been in Thorold, nearly, Thorold has been associated with industry. It's an industrial town, you know, a smokestack city, I've heard for years. So what do you do when you have that kind of municipality and the industry closes, or it moves on, or something happens to it? If you want to survive, you have to reinvent yourself. And I think that's what Thorold has done. First of all, in their downtown, the downtown is fabulous. It's coming along so well. Every time I walk down there, there's something new. It's looking really good. And our downtown is the envy of many people in the region, believe me. They also have a parking problem down there. And I'm really glad to hear that, because that means people are showing up. It's a good problem to have, believe me. The other thing that's happening is there's a lot of building and planning going on in Thorold, and it looks like housing is going in and many things. That means that people are choosing Thorold to live in as a desirable place to be. My grandson bought a house in Thorold a year and a half ago. He lives just around the corner from me. And he loves Thorold. And he said it's the quietest street he ever lived on. He used to live on Geneva Street, so, you know, comparison there. The other thing that's happening is we have a tourism business going on. And I sat on that committee and I just loved it. We're offering 3 attractions to tourists. We're offering cycling, we're offering the Welland Canal, and we're offering heritage. And it's a growing business. The thing is, there have been studies done on tourism and what tourists like. And they used to look for world-class tourism sites. They're not doing that anymore. They're looking for cultural heritage stories. They love that type of thing. And Thorold's 3 items that they have for attractions fit into that category beautifully. So we're meeting the needs of the tourism people. And it's a growing business, and it's really interesting. I love sitting on the committee. I'm not on it now, but I enjoyed it all the time I was there. The next thing that is happening in Thorold, last year in October, we were notified by the National Trust of Canada that we had won the Prince of Wales Prize for Municipal Heritage Leadership. Now, this is the Academy Award of all awards in the heritage world. It's much sought after by all small communities at large. It's really a respected award. And I was so thrilled when we won this. It means that every town and city across Canada knows our name, and they know that we have won this award. I'm just so thrilled about it because I never dreamed of it. The competition is so great in this nomination procedure. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say here tonight is that I'm really proud of our city. I'm really proud what they've done. They've moved from an industrial era into something brand new, and it's working. And I hope that everyone here feels the same pride that I do, and that all of our citizens feel that pride as well. And thank you very much for the support, Mr. Mayor.
Pamela, thank you very much for those wonderful words. Okay, we'll move into presentations. Our first presenter is Bob Litticoat, co-owner and editor of Thorold News. He's going to reintroduce us to the new Thorold News. Did I get that right, Bob?
Yes, you did. Okay, well, thank you for having me. As you know, back in December, two major newspaper chains in Ontario and not Canada swapped a lot of newspapers and closed 36 of them. And one of those was Thorold. We just felt that
Can you speak right into the mic, Bob?
we felt that this was pretty unacceptable to just disregard the local news in favor of a corporate entity and serving their wishes. So for a number of years, we've been asked to bring the Thorold News back. And after 14 years of journalistic erosion, we just thought that it was time. So, just to give you a few highlights. For those of you who don't know, between 1998 and 2004, Thorold News won 19 national and provincial awards in journalism, including being the best small paper in Canada twice and the best in Ontario 3 times. So as part of that award-winning team, we just thought it was time to bring it back. We've been asked many, many times to do so, and we felt the timing was right. We thought we should move quickly. Like I said, 36 closures is just not acceptable to disregard the local needs. We just feel that any newspaper in a small market is a key element in maintaining the community identity. You lose that, you lose a big part of your identity, you lose a big part of your communication chain between everybody, community users, politicians, this council, sports, everything is lost. So, BBC contacted us immediately. They felt that the story was worthy of recognition. We got a national attention, and I got a lot of emails and notes from across Canada congratulating us on bringing it back and telling their stories of losing their papers and losing their jobs to this. And we just felt that it was nice to have all that support, and it's not just Thorold, it's happening everywhere. So we're glad to be back. Last week the CTV ran a piece on the death of small newspapers and the impact, and you can still see that on their site if you'd like. At the same time, the Quebec government announced funding to help some of these corporations transition from paper into online. Well, we're already online, completely online, and it's www.thoroldnews.com. I should mention, I've had a lot of people ask about the address. If you type that into a search, you're not going to find it. You've got to put it into the address bar. After you get it, it'll come back every time. It's been gone for 14 years, so it's not going to be near the top of a search. So you have to put it right into the address bar. Okay, I should point out too that since we're now completely online, we don't have the overhead, we don't have the dead weight of trying to control newspaper. Our ad rates are going to be a fraction of the cost, but we will have exactly the same reach potential as any major news chain, anybody. We can reach the world the same as they can at a fraction of the cost. If you've been watching it, we've been up on, we launched within days of the announcement. We thought it was important to get going really, really quickly to fill the void as fast as we could. So it's been up for about a month. So if you've checked it out, you've seen that there's more content there than you've probably seen since 2004 on Thorold items. You know, it's all Thorold content. And we can deliver the essential information to Thorold. We are now asking that We get a return to covering local sports, local schools, local churches, getting back to the way it used to be. And the timing is right, and the venue is there, the vehicle is there. So what we need is, we're going to need the community input on those things. We're going to need the contributors. We're going to need them to come back to the way they used to come back and supply information and stories and leads for us. We're going to need the support of local advertisers. Even though our overhead is way lower than the corporations, we still got to make a living. So we're going to need support from the advertisers. And again, our reach is just as good as theirs at a fraction of the cost. The value is there, plus the added component of supporting the community paper and the community events. And so we're looking for help with that. And we're looking at the kind of support that existed between Thorold Council and us in those days gone by. I think we can establish that, and we're just here to say we're back. Questions?
Any questions of our presenter, Councillor Hanley?
Seeing that you mentioned sports, if I submit as I did in the past, when you were there, I wrote a blog called The Dirt on Maryville. I am now the announcer at Maryville Speedway in 2018, and if you accept my invitation, I'd like to write a blog again in regards to the racing, as you said, the sports at Maryville Speedway, and be a part of the new Thorold News.
Actually, thanks, Jim, and I know the owner very well, so it'd be great to have Maryville back on board. I should also point out that some of the other group is back. I mean, Tony's back. Cheryl Gordon was a health columnist back in the day. She's back, and she's been a big help so far. And of course, my wife, Kathy, who's won at least 3 awards of those 19 I mentioned. She's back, and we're getting a lot of the crew back that were there when we were there 10 years ago. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. First question, Bob, is there going to be a charge, an online charge for your newspaper? And what kind of money are we looking for as a subscription cost?
There is no subscription cost. I do have a voluntary subscription button on there. If you'd like to contribute, we're certainly welcome the help. We've had some already. Some of the readers come on board, but the rest will be advertising. I do have ad rates. We have had a number of people come on board. In fact, we had so many ask us ahead of time. It was really nice. We got a really good reception. And so it's going to be advertised driven. And like I said, at a fraction of the cost of the bigger competitors.
Thank you. My second question is, do you see anywhere in the future that we will be able to pick up an actual paper copy of your newspaper somewhere and read it?
It's been considered. The problem today is it is old technology. It is going to disappear. So if you invest in it now, you're investing in something that's going to be gone soon. And right now, the supply and demand is not good because papers are disappearing. The printers are all gone. The closest one is Mississauga. The paper, the ink are super expensive now. Like I say, governments are actually investing in online transition funding. So it's tough. We have talked about it, and the only thing we're considering right now, seriously, is getting government support to print a limited run for senior centers and seniors' homes.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Whaling has a question.
I think, Mr. Mayor, we can't ask or say how great it is to have him back, but besides that, any idea how many hits or how many subscriptions you've taken out with already? It seems to be well perceived out in the public.
Yeah, you know what? It has been really well. Subscriptions aren't that many, but that was to be expected. We're offering it free, and we want everyone to read it, and we're more driven by the content than by the advertising. But yeah, the visiting has been good. We got a really good reception from the Greater Thorold Business Council when we showed up, and the advertisers have been good, and several of them I'm scheduled to meet with. So I think it's been great, and overall the reception's been great. I can't say enough. And I wasn't sure that was going to happen. It's been 14 years, but no, it's been good.
It's great to hear, and good luck with it.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Lillicote.
Thank you.
Before our next presenter comes up, I'd just like to make an announcement. Under our new bylaws, there's a limit of, you can speak for only 10 minutes. Last year, it was, prior to that, it was 15. So you're down to 10 minutes. So I'll give you a warning when that 10 minutes is coming, and I'll give you a little bit of time after the 10 minutes if you're still speaking. Okay, my next presenter is Bob Elliott, Chair, Thorold Runway of Recognition Committee, and he's going to talk about the annual committee update and announcements of 2018 award winners. Mr. Elliott, welcome.
Your Worship, Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Members of council, staff, this is my 12th year, which means something is going to happen in October, which happens every 4 years, for me, that I have to reapply to have this wonderful task that I had every year. So I'm here to announce the 2017 inductees on the Wall of Recognition, along with our 5 other annual awards. And this year we'll be presenting the Trombone Award for our unsung hero and the Darrell Mailer Award for Excellence in Coaching. The trombone is being awarded to Frank Thorold for a lifetime of work behind the scenes in sports. And the mailer will be presented to Carmen, help me Jim, Sophie, who is coach of the Thorold Soccer Club. The committee is pleased to announce tonight the winners of our 3 newest awards, presented for the first time last year with the help of donations received by Club Capri, Impact Promotions, and White Family. First, the Will Slater Award honors Thorold's Male Athlete of the Year and is presented by Club Capri. As we all know, Will Slater is sort of the godfather of this committee, and it was at his insistence in 2005 and 6 that we got to where we are now. This year's winner of the 2017 Will Slater Award is given to the Male Athlete of the Year with Jeremy Bagley. Bagley has been in front of council in the past. He is the gold and silver medal winner in wrestling in the 2017 Canada Summer Games. The second award is the Irene McGinnis Memorial Award given to the Thorold Female Athlete of the Year and is presented by Impact Promotions. Irene was a leader in the movement to bring women into sports back in the 30s. She was a founding member of the Thorold Figure Skating Club, was on the Canadian Olympic Committee, and was one of the original inductees on the Hall of Fame. 2017 winner of the Irene McGinnis Memorial Award is given to the female athlete, and her name is Grace Pike. Grace is a graduate of Thorold Secondary School and is currently a member of the Brock University ladies volleyball team. Lifelong resident of Thorold, was highly recruited by Rock to come there as a freshman this year after she completed a successful career at Mountain Volleyball Club and with the Thorold Golden Eagles. Our third award is the Recognition Committee's Team of the Year Award, and it's been made possible by the White Family. Announced that the 2017 Thorold Team of the Year is the TAAA PWBB OMHA champions from last spring. Blackhawks had an outstanding season, winning the 2017 OMHA championship. They actually won it the weekend before last year's dinner. We were all wondering if anyone else would come up quite as high as they did. They're led by their head coach, Matt Nassau. Now on with our Wall of Recognition inductee. 1969 Thorold Legion Tights won the Ontario Baseball Championship. They were 15-3 in Niagara District play and went 8-1 in the OBA tournament, and they were led by their coach, Peter Buckmaster. Kevin Bull started his hockey career playing for the Thorold Amateur Athletic Association, moving to the team, the Blackhawks, and then on to the Peterborough Peaks of the OHL. In 1997-98, he was the captain of Canada's national hockey team that won the Spangler Cup. After that, he had a 13-year pro career, 6 years in the AHL and 7 years in Europe. On his retirement, he returned to Thorold and returned to work for the TAAA in their developmental program, and most recently was the coach of the senior A team. Third inductee was 1996 Thorold Secondary School Warwick Coxey, who won the Canadian Schoolboy Rowing Championship at the Henley course in St. Catharines in '96. The team was made up of Dean Knowles, Dave McNamara, Kurt Anderson, and Justin Rutherford. The cox team was Dan and Knowles. Many of us haven't heard much about the Canadian schoolboys held down at Henley, but it's quite the deal. It has been since 1941. Barry P.G. Burkle. P.G. has been a coach with the GAA for pretty close to 40 years, the last 20 of which was exclusively with the Bantam program. He has won 2 OMHA championships, but he measures his success not by the championships won, but by the improvement in his players. And finally, good and sad at the same time, the 1950 Port Robertson Junior V softball team. They won the OASC championship. This was made up of players from Port Robertson, Alberta, and Fenwick. They beat Coburg in a best-of-3 final. There's a little bad news here, or sad news. The nomination came from Betty Michaels, who many of us knew, and she died 3 days before our committee met to get to this decision. The other thing we found out as we went through the team, 2 of their members, a fellow by the name of Robert Helbrick and Don McCombs, both died in service to their country. Mr. Helbrick was a warrant officer in the U.S. Air Force and died in Vietnam in 1969. Mr. McCombs died in a jet crash over France as a member of the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1954. So we'll be celebrating those 2 gentlemen at our gala dinner. Speaking of which, the dinner is being held by March the 27th. I'm sure Mr. Whalen, Councilor Whalen, will be hitting you up for your $20 tickets. This year it will be held at Michael's Banquet Hall, so at Highway 58 in the greater metropolitan area of Thorold South. The doors open at 5:30, which is normal. Dinner is at 6:30, and I'll have everybody home for 9:15, 9:30, as we always do. Tickets are available at the credit union or tonight from Councilor Whalen. Yes, look at that data, boy, Councilor. And he's reaching for the ball. Worship, that is all I have. It's a pleasure to be with you again. Any questions for you, Your Worship? I'm here to answer.
Thank you, Bob. Are there any questions for our presenter? See none. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Look at that, under 10 minutes, too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Our next presenter is Sam Middleton, and she is a resident on Winterberry Boulevard, and she's here to talk to us about the bus route termination extension to April 1st. Welcome, Ms. Middleton.
How are you?
Very good.
Hear me?
Yeah.
I know I'm loud, so it usually helps.
But if you could speak into the mic so that we all can hear you, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Sam Middleton. I am a resident of Woodbury Boulevard. When I got the news that the bus was potentially being extended, I was a little disheartened, considering we worked quite hard not to have any extensions and to basically have this issue resolved from the original vote. Yeah, so to go into the new year having to fight to eliminate, keep this bus eliminated off of our street is a little bit. There are my 3 primary reasons why to keep this bus eliminated off this street. One is the private property versus the public property. 2 is the safety of the bus, of keeping the bus off the street, and 3 is the walking distance. The first being where the 3 bus stops on Winterberry Boulevard are currently located. So from the original plans of the bus stop being on the street, 2 of those, so if you're on Winterberry Boulevard and you're coming from JQ up to Silver Maple, there's a stop there, and then at the other end of Silver Maple there is another stop. Both of those bus stops are on private property, same as going around the corner on the corner of Shellbar and Winterberry, there is another bus stop that is on private property. Those 3 bus stops were never negotiated with those residents as to if they had explicit permission to have a bus stop in front of their house. So those residents, they were never given a notice. A bus stop just randomly appeared. So if you're in your driveway, trying to get out of your driveway, and there's students or people or residents, however you would like to say it, standing at the end of your driveway, and it just randomly appeared one day, how did you feel as a property owner who invested their money into that house to have a bus stop randomly appear? Not to mention whether or not they are standing there, they may or may not be, it's not to say that they are littering, loitering, anything you want to say that way, that is also an issue. The litter issue in relation to that as well is already an issue on Winterberry Boulevard. We've talked about this at other meetings, so to have bus stops on private property where they're littering, instead of having them on public property, which the new bus route, which is going down Richmond Street, is on public property where garbage cans or receptacles can be put in order for litter to be partially eliminating another issue on Winterberry Boulevard. Second issue is safety, which is the primary focus of why this bus was eliminated in the first place, not to mention that it wasn't originally voted on in the first place. The safety of this bus going down Winterberry Boulevard is a rather narrow street. Currently, with the snow problems that we've been having this year, cars are now merging in closer to the center of the street due to obviously the overflow of snowbanks on each side of the street. So taking into account a car parked, opening the door, you're going to want to take about 2 feet off the curb distance, give or take. So essentially cars moved in, let's say 4 feet on average. It eliminates more of a pathway for the bus to come through, causing more of a safety risk for collisions for the bus coming through if somebody is parked a little bit too far into the center of the street. Not to mention, because of that issue and because of how the cars are parked, it is creating blind spots more than usual, giving residents from when they're crossing the street, they may or may not be able to see the blind spots. I know safety was the primary focus of eliminating this bus route, and I think that still should be a primary focus of keeping this bus route off of the road. Third, and one of the bigger issues is the walking distance. So I did a little bit of research. Myself, being a previous property university student, I used to take the bus. I know how far of a walk I had to take when I took the bus. I didn't have a car when I was in university, so I had to walk to get to my bus stop. Approximately less than a kilometer walk from any of the locations that I lived in St. Catharines. St. Catharines, not Thorold, I understand that. But regardless, it is still less than a kilometer walk from any point on the Winterberry bus to where, if you were looking at the crescent of Winterberry, even if you were at the furthest point of Tulip Tree, to walk all the way down Silver Maple to where the bus stop is at Raspberry Trail and Richmond is approximately 800 meters. That is about a 5-minute walk. For anybody, that is not an unacceptable walking distance. Throughout the city grid of the same city as St. Catharines and the city of Thorold, at any point on the bus route, there is no further than a kilometer walk to any accessible bus station. So to have that bus on Winterberry Boulevard, having it be approximately 50-meter walk to some of those bus stops and some of those houses, it's unnecessary to me. To have it moved to where it currently is on Richmond Street is more than an acceptable distance of walking, regardless of weather conditions. So currently, like where it is, I think it's very acceptable. I know some of the residents that I've been spoken to and have been spoken to are very happy with where the bus route is currently, primarily because to keep this bus off of Winterberry is going to make it a less desirable neighborhood for rental properties, which is the primary focus of eliminating this bus route in first. One of the primary focuses of eliminating this bus. So in the long run, there's a lot of factors to keep this bus bus off of Winterberry Boulevard.
Are there any questions for our presenter? Councillor Hanley.
Thank you. Know the address of your residence to Barry.
If I was to give that, I would feel.
Okay, well, okay, sorry, maybe it's an asset. Okay, well, then maybe later on, if we get into a further discussion in regard to this, I have several residents on Winterberry that I know that are student residences, so I'm just trying to delineate between the two.
I can tell you that I live between Juneberry and Silver Maple.
Okay.
So in the predominantly student-based part of the neighborhood, I'm not going to be.
I apologize to ask you the number. I'm only doing it,
For my safety because of the issues that preceded this meeting, I will not
okay.
address, but yes.
I'm only doing it, Ms. Mayor, in regards to knowing which residents I know as of today, which are student residents, and trying to find which may be family residents.
No,
I apologize.
that's okay. I live in the predominantly student-based sides to where the town semis are. The other side is a lot of detached homes, so in the perception of how I see things, I'm in the area these students would be walking from. So, I think that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councillor Whalen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sam, do you have any feedback from the non-students in your neighborhood where they were inflicted by not having that bus route? Like, did you get a chance to talk to any other neighbors that might have taken a bus before they're not students? Did you get?
See, I had another point on that as well, but I haven't talked to anybody that was a non-student that had taken the bus. But I know in the previous meeting when we discussed eliminating this bus in the first place, that there was some statistics thrown around saying that there are non-student residents that are taking these buses. And after some thought process in it, it doesn't necessarily, you can't see who those residents are, right? It's just saying that there are non-residents who are paying their fees to ride that bus. Who's to say that those are not the friends of these students that are riding the bus? Not necessarily a local resident that, owns their house and is taking that bus, but necessarily, an out-of-town student that doesn't have a wrong pass, who's paying their fee to go downtown, to go abroad, to go wherever.
Yeah, thanks, Larry.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Pion.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. A lot of your argument was towards why the bus should be eliminated, but the issue tonight is whether or not to extend it. It's going to be eliminated, so could you speak specifically to the main issue that's come up as to why it should be extended is because this is right in the middle of the school year, and to just take it out in the middle. Some of these students may want to move away once the bus is gone, but to do it in the middle when they have leases is a bit difficult. So I appreciate that your arguments were to eliminate it. We're not arguing against that tonight. It's specifically to why we should or should not extend it.
I believe that we should extend it because I think that when we originally set an idea, you should not throw leniency to it. So if you show leniency in this issue once, who's to say that they won't show leniency again? I don't want to be up here trying to fight against having this extended again and again and again. This is a done issue in my books and for the many residents that are on the same side as myself. So I don't want to have other residents coming up to me asking, why is this being extended? When is this being extended to? This is a done issue in our opinion. So that's part of the reason.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Middleton, for your presentation.
Thank you. Pleasure as always.
Our next presenter is Fazil Hijazi, President, and Chris Green, General Manager, Brock University Student Union, and Brad Clark, Manager of Brock Community Outreach. They'll be here as one delegation. Welcome, gentlemen.
Mr. Mayor, if I can ask just, seeing that there's two speakers, do they get 10 minutes each? Or is it 10 minutes between
They only
the two
have
of them?
10 minutes for all of them.
Okay, thank you, I just wanted to make clarification on that.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Happy New Year, good evening, Mayor Luciani, members of process. This is super exciting. I don't know where the gentleman went, but I'm sure Brock, Marketing Communications, is looking forward to working on several initiatives collaboratively throughout the year with the city of Thorold. I also would like to thank Pamela for her efforts. She has left early, but because of her hard work, her dedication, her volunteerism, and her philanthropy, the city of Thorold is where it is today. So, my name is Faisal Hijazi, and I'm here on behalf of the Brock University Students Union. Brock and Busu are here today to represent our constituents that reside in the city of Thorold. Over the course of the past few months, I'm happy to say that there has been positive dialogue amongst the city of Thorold, Busu, Brock University, and St. Catharines Transit. We had a few extremely productive meetings in regards to many relationships between the major stakeholders, as I mentioned. Additionally, we have recognized common interests and how we can best work towards bringing them to fruition as a collective. Our conversations revolved around enhancing the university Thorold communication methods, improving the university's capacity to accommodate our students, responding further to off-campus behavior, as well as ensuring safe and appropriate transportation options for not only our students, but also the individuals that reside in the city of Thorold. I can proudly state that both Brock and Busu are committed to continuing to work with the city of Thorold to further develop and improve community-university relations in all aspects possible. As our president, Dr. Thorold, has mentioned, we believe that we share a common and mutual interest in ensuring safe and suitable accommodations for students and a positive neighborhood experience. We believe that through newly established channels of communication, we can mitigate these recurring issues that have been brought up previously. Thus, we are here to find a compromise to the motion that was proposed in November of 2017. Busu and Brock recognize the concerns that were presented by council at the time, and we respect the decision that was voted and passed. That being said, we are kindly recommending to council for this motion to be reconsidered and to have the motion amended to commence on April 30th of 2018 rather than on January 1st of 2018. The reasons for our recommendation are due to safety precautions, accessibility concerns, and lastly, due to the lease agreements that were established prior to any notification of route changes.
Thank you.
Brad.
Mayor and members of council, thank you for the opportunity to speak to council this evening about the decision to remove transit stops from Victory Boulevard. As Faisal has indicated, we completely respect council's authority in this matter and recognize the challenging role that each of you play as elected representatives. We all have experienced this winter thus far has been a particularly harsh one. Over the past week to 10 days, I've observed many students and others who live in the Winterbury area walking to the alternate bus stops that are now located on missions. Many of those people are walking through areas that have sidewalks that have not been shoveled or cleared, that have no sidewalks, or in areas that are under active construction. Sections, large dump trucks, under construction, are sharing snow and ice-covered roadways with pedestrians. Safety was given as a primary rationale for removing the bus stops from Winterbury. Given how this week has unfolded, I'm concerned that the current situation remains less safe than the previous one. I ask that you support a motion to defer the removal of the bus stops on Winterbury Boulevard area until allow for time of more favorable weather, and for sidewalks and or other pedestrian-friendly features to be installed in and around the sections of winter. During the removal of the stops until April 30th, our current student members who are dissatisfied with changes to Winterbury Transit to meet also. Finally, postponing the removal of this route until April 30th would also provide the opportunity for all of us to work together collaboratively on a comprehensive transit plan. University have offered to support the cost of development. Members of the Thorold Council and city staff, university and student union representatives, partners of the transit services, students, and longer-term residents of Thorold will be involved in this discussion. Our aim that provides safe and convenient transit to all citizens of Thorold students.
Okay, are there any questions? Councillor Hanley?
Thank you. Both here this evening mentioned about lease agreements. Not that I believe what you're saying, but could you tell me what you know personally of any or how many lease agreements may be in place and are going to expire in April of 2018 in the Winterberry area, as you suggested? Have you any documentation to state this? Because I've done some research myself, and I have in front of me 39 leases. So I just want to let you know that. So I'm wanting to know that you're stating that it's because the lease is expiring on the end of April 2018, and in order that would give students an ample time to vacate the premises so they could find new residents in 2018. I'll be upfront, I'll tell you right now. I have 39 leases that are signed by students until May of 2019 that have been supplied to me by Ms. Rentals. So I'm just wanting to let you know that. So I can show you the documentation here, where I have documentation for 39 leases that, in fact, are from May 2018 to April 2019. So both presenters have presented to me tonight or said that there's leases in place that expire in 2018, and that's your reasoning for wanting to extend the bus service until the end of April. So I can give you the documentation to show you where I have 39 leases in place. Can you show me documentation where you have leases that are expire in 2018 April, have you stated? Because I can give you the documentation. And just to go on, if I may, Mr. Mayor, I had received an email from Ms. Rentals, and it says, I appreciate your email and considering reinstating the bus service along Winterberry Boulevard, as this would be a deep negative impact on our students. As below, the homes on our portfolio and the students rely on Winterberry, and these homers are rented out from May 18th, 2018 to April 2019. 103, 107, 139, 156, 158, 160, 167, 172, 181, 183, 150, 123, 105 Winterberry. 87, 91, not 139 Tulip Tree, 14, 66, 68, 70, 72, 74, 76 Juneberry, 24, 26, 28, 32 Fox Grape, 41, 47, 49, 43, 15, 13, 38 Elderberry, 11 White Ash, 15 White Ash. These are all leases that I have in my possession today that expire in April 2019. So I don't agree with what you're saying and your reasoning for it, and unless you can show me documentation to the effect, I can show you, in fact, 39 leases that I have in front of me that are until 2019. So your reasoning, as far as I'm concerned as a councillor, in regards to reinstating this bus service because of leases, doesn't jive for me, to put it bluntly. So unless you can provide evidence to me in which you have stated here tonight, I can contradict your evidence 100%, and I have the documentation here in front of me this evening.
So what we're trying to say is students have already signed their lease agreements. They've signed, and students obviously vacated it individual as of September 1st. They can't get out of those agreements. When they signed the agreements, they knew what the bus routes were going to be. And a huge part of that reason, and Sam, you mentioned you were also a Fox student, part of the reason a student would decide to live in a certain area because the bus route is available to them. I'm not going to select a house that's a 10 or 15 minute walk from my bus stop. I'm going to select a house that's conveniently close to a bus stop so I can get to school in a relatively safe and quick manner. What we're asking for is to extend it up until April 30th for students that have already signed the agreements and are stuck in their contracts. They obviously can't get out of their lease agreements this far into the year and into their lease agreement. I'm sure that there's already been contracts that have been signed, but those are minimal. And from my experience and from my friends that I'm related to, most of them are in current negotiations of their future lease agreements. And if the underlying motive of removing the bus from Winterberry is to remove students from that area, I can assure you they won't sign before at least there. That's not a problem. As long as we at least extend that up until April 30th for them to get to school safely back and forth. Afterwards, we are completely fine with that bus route being removed from Winterberry as long as it's after April 30th. Right now, the weather conditions are horrific. Even though a 5-minute or 10-minute walk might be okay for some people, I've had students with disabilities that are in wheelchairs that have to wheel themselves 10 to 15 minutes now in these frigid conditions. Mine is dealing with heavy snowfall, and it's become very, very difficult for these students to get to school. So all we're asking for is for this to be extended up until April 30th, simply so these students can get to school and come back to school. Because when they sign these agreements, these bus routes have already been implemented. Now, if when council decides to remove this, if we give a recommendation April 30th, students will then know not to sign an agreement in the area that's not going to have a proper bus route.
To follow with the leases, no, we won't have personal leases that we've done with students as to take because they're confidential contracts approved to us. But with 39 leases, there's a lot of students, as we've seen, the reason for our parking bylaw in the places, there are also there's a lot of drivers on that street. You see it already with the parking spots. So with the 39 leases that you've got, and us knowing the ridership numbers that we have in that area, yeah, there's going to be people that sign leases. The also the pieces of the Rental Tenant Act is that you have a provision that you can get out of any lease with a certain number of time given. So if I was a student living on Winterberry right now, and I decided that I wanted to get out of my lease because of a change, I've got to give my landlord ample notice to get out of the lease. I've got 4 months left of the school year. That's not going to happen. I want to also address the piece of the lease. I'm glad Sam brought up the part of the conversation of the primary focus was to make this an undesirable area to live. That's also been conveyed to me by the councils as well. So that was to make this an undesirable place to live. That was the primary focus that was said in the presentation about what we're to do here. That will not be achieved in the next 4 months. We had this conversation at our meeting with the university with counselors that if that is the primary focus, to have students to move away from Winterberry, that primary focus won't be achieved before April 30th. Because students don't have time to go find a new location and find a new place to live. So again, if that is the primary focus, and that's not the first time it's been said, that primary focus will not be achieved by having this move on January 1st. It may be achieved, and the council may achieve that goal, but it won't happen before April 30th. That's one of the reasons why we're asking to extend this as well. So to answer the question, I don't have any copies of pieces of it.
Councilor Hanley, before you say anything, I made a mistake and allowed you to speak when
You've
this
allowed
session,
them to
you
make a
have
discussion of it, though, Mr. Mayor, also.
Questions only.
Mr. Mayor?
You'll
we've
be out of
already-
order. I'll rule you out of order.
Mr. Mayor, you've already broke the protocols, the procedures that were brought forward as we passed at this council for procedure bylaws that were just enacted, and this is the first meeting in which we were to adhere to those procedure bylaws. Those procedure bylaws in fact stated that only 3 speakers were to take the podium per council meeting. We've already broken the procedure bylaws as set out by this council.
This is one
And you've
delegation.
allowed these gentlemen here to not only respond to the question I posed forward, but you have allowed them to go on and beyond that, Mr. Mayor. So for you to now
They didn't go on
regulate me...
beyond their 10 minutes.
No, hold it, not beyond your 10 minutes. You have allowed them to go into a discussion, Mr. Mayor, and not answer my questions directly. You've allowed them just to sit there and speak. They're now at 13 minutes and 46
You
seconds.
can bring up your data.
I
when
brought
we
up my
present
data,
the
but because
bylaw.
you allowed them to not only, they didn't answer my question, Mr. Mayor, directly.
Yes.
You allowed them to expand beyond that question and allowed them to make statements over and beyond the question I was put forward. And that's what our
Okay,
procedure
well,
bylaw
I'll
states.
ask the clerk for a ruling.
That's what our
Sit
bylaw
down and I'll ask
states.
the clerk for a ruling.
Questions only, not comments. And they've made comments. They didn't answer my question directly. And I'm allowed to do the same, Mr. Mayor, and
No,
you
you're
take that
not.
Democratic right away from me, you can push the panic button again like you did on February the 7th last year. Go right
will.
ahead. I have my right to speak as a councilman. They've been allowed to do it, and when I got up to speak, Mr. Mayor, you then changed.
Counselor, sit down and I'll ask the
Don't
clerk.
change the rules midstream, Mr. Mayor. All are to be treated equally.
Have a ruling, please.
Don't change it. They're allowed to expand beyond it, I'm allowed to expand beyond it. My democratic right, I've been elected by the citizens of Thorold. If
You break procedure for them, you break procedure for me.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Section 15.3 of the procedure bylaw states that a counselor may ask a question only for the purpose of obtaining facts relevant to the matter under discussion and necessary for clear understanding. Questions will be worded appropriately and will not be used as a means of making statements.
And how about the response from them and so is to be treated in the same area, or they do not have to answer my question directly? They can make comments for as long as they wish to, but yet I can't. Because they didn't answer my question directly, they went on and made further discussions that were of a substantial amount of time. So I should be given the same right. Example, have you been to Thorold South? Do you want me to continue? Mary Street, Ontario Street, Pioneer, Clara, Beaver, Davis, McCormick, no sidewalks. So if it's a safety issue for Brock students, shouldn't it be for the residents of Thorold who continuously have come before this council for decades and have asked for sidewalks to be installed in the rural areas of Thorold, but yet we've neglected them for decades? But yet
Council, you're out of
them?
order. You're talking about Thorold South and everywhere else. In Thorold, please sit down. You're out of order. You're out of order.
They were responding in
Councilor,
regards
you're
to
out of
streets
order.
also in regards to the safety standards of the streets. So am I not allowed to respond in the same way and bring up streets in Thorold which are under the same circumstances? Think about it, Mr. Mayor.
You're out
Don't
of
call me
order.
out of order.
Sit down.
Apply to the rules equally to everybody, Mr. Mayor.
One more time, Councilor, and you're out of the chamber.
Call the police again. Go ahead.
Councilor Whalen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Question
Mr.
to
Yoli.
the presenters. Being that we're asked to either give or take and putting this bus route back, back over the last short while, we've been asked, or we were told by Brock that we're going to get some help with police and a code of conduct. So is any, I don't know whether step, it's a little bit out of the question, but contingent to the question, Mr. Mayor. Has anything further happened? Like, we're giving this back to you. What are we getting to control the student problem going down the road?
We're going off topic.
A little bit off topic, but it's just like I
Is
say,
this a busing matter, Councilor?
well, it's just a
Is this
contingent-
about a busing matter?
Yeah, well, to give it back, I just wonder if we're getting anything in return, that's all.
Councilor,
If you
this
don't
is,
answer,
this
that's
is
fine.
about the busing.
That's fine, we'll let it go.
Are there any more questions for the presenter? Are there any more questions for the presenters? Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, at this time, I'm going to keep the discussion going. Under motions for support, the bus route issue is the last one, so I'm going to ask first for a motion to move it forward. Councilor Piellon,
So moved.
all those in favor? Can you please put your hands up? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, the way I have to do this under our new procedural bylaw, first I have to get pass a resolution. The first resolution is to put it on the floor for debate. And it requires 2/3 vote. And if it doesn't, this doesn't get the 2/3 vote, then the issue is dead. If it gets a 2/3 vote, we then get to debate it. So there's two issues here. There's two motions. My first motion, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Giuliani, that the motion approved on October 3rd, 2017 regarding Winterberry Route 331 and 431 be reconsidered in part.
Mr. Mayor, do you not have to hand the bench over?
Pardon me?
You have to hand the chair over so you can move the motion.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Do you have that one?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Mayor, if you can read that motion so we can put it to the vote. For
Okay,
2/3.
that the motion approved October 3rd, 2017 regarding Winterberry bus routes number 331 and 431 be reconsidered in part.
Being that we need 2/3 majority, I believe we just asked for a vote. There's no discussion on this, correct?
Well, you could debate it, but there's nothing to debate.
So we put to a vote? Yep. Clerk?
Our procedure bylaw says that a debate on a motion for reconsideration are only confined to the reasons for or against the reconsideration.
Therefore, put a vote. All in favor?
Can I have a recorded vote, please?
Sure can. Madam Clerk?
So Councillor Luciani has Councillor Hanley has requested a recorded vote on the matter of 10G, reconsideration in part. We'll start with Councillor Hanley. If you can vote for or against.
Against.
Councillor Longo.
Against.
Councillor Wilson.
For.
Councillor Deputy Mayor Whalen at the moment.
Against?
Councillor Neal.
For.
Councillor Ugolini.
For.
Councillor Payon.
For.
Mayor Luciani.
In favor.
The motion's lost.
The motion is defeated. That's it. Sorry, folks. The issue can't even be brought on the floor for debate. I apologize for that. Okay, we'll go back to the top of the motions for support. I'll wait till the chamber empties. Okay, motions for support. Town of Fort Erie, Councillor Longo.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Ugolini, that further to the resolution adopted by the Council of the City of Thorold at its meeting of March 1st, 2016, wherein the Town of Fort Erie requested support of a full-scale marina resort development at the Niagara Parks Commission Marina and encouraged the Niagara Parks Commission to continue the process of bringing about the development without delay. And further, that the resolution received from the Council of the Town of Fort Erie at its meeting of December 11, 2017, reiterating its continuing support for the expansion, enhancement, and engagement with the development company for a marina and a resort development on the adjacent lands at the Niagara Parks Commission Miller Creek Marina be received and supported.
Are there any speakers to the resolution? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. City of St. Catharines, Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority disclosure of legal costs. Councillor Ugolini.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Longo, that the correspondence received from the City of St. Catharines at its council meeting on December 11th, 2017, requesting the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority Board disclose the total amount spent on the lawsuits, including the suit by the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority's then Chief Administrative Officer, which the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority also funded, be received and supported.
Speakers to the resolution. Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Another one for Councillor Ugolini, City of St. Catharines, Gilliam's Place and National Day of Action on Violence Against Women.
Moved by myself, through you, Mr. Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Neal, that the correspondence received from the City of St. Catharines at its council meeting of December 11th, 2017, calling on the federal and provincial governments to increase funding to violence against women shelters to support the prevention of gender-based violence be received and supported.
Again, speakers to the resolution or motion? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Again, Councilor Ugolini, City of Port Colborne, Regional Council approval of Audit Committee recommendation respecting the town of Pelham.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Neal, that the correspondence received from the City of Port Colborne at its council meeting of December 11th, 2017, strongly opposing the resolution approved by Niagara Regional Council respecting the financial position of the town of Pelham, be received and supported.
Speakers to the motion. Council Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to support this, but I also like it known that I'd like a copy of this sent to the Region of Niagara and to the Region Audit Committee.
That shouldn't be a problem. All municipalities will be getting a copy also. Okay. I believe Councillor Angela spoke on this earlier this evening, so I'm certainly myself, I am in support of it. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Township of Wainfleet, Councilor Ugolini. Federal changes to the municipal councilors' taxation on income.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Neal, that the correspondence received from the Township of Wainfleet at its council meeting of December 5th, 2017, requesting the Ontario Federation of Agricultural Lobby, the federal government, to have the 1/3 tax exemption for municipal councilors reinstated, be received and supported.
Speakers to the motion, Councillor Hanley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I will support it, and I give you a perfect example of how it will affect an individual like myself. Being I work in the trade union business, we don't always work 12 months of the year. So when I'm in a laid-off position, presently I have to claim 1/3 or 2/3 of my income in towards my unemployment insurance, and 1/3 is non-taxable. Seeing I will now have to claim 100% of it, I'm looking at a lost income of myself of over $200 per month in regards to that. And it should be no fault of my own or any other councillor here, so I'm supporting it to the motion that if that is to be the case, then a friendly amendment, or maybe I'll bring a motion forward that then if that's to be the case, then councillors' positions within any municipality should be considered as a business, and we should be giving the eligibility to treat it as a business, and I should be able to write off my gas expenses, my clothing expenses, percentage of my household, like I can if I'm running a small business within my house, 10% of my floor space within my house can designate as an office, and I can use it as an income tax deduction. If that's what they want to do, then that will be something I will bring forward to the council. Then councillors' positions, regardless of the pay that we make, $10,000 a year, should be treated as a business, and we be able to have the appropriate tax write-offs in regards to such. Other than that, reinstate the 1/3, and in a future council meeting, I will bring a motion forward in regards to soliciting the federal government in regard to such, that if one is to be eliminated, then we be given the opportunity to treat this position as a business, not as a duty to our constituents, which we are wanting to be. So that's my views on it.
Are there any other speakers or questions? I have one question probably to Ms. Morrow, because I think you're more familiar with this than anybody else. What options would we have out there if this is implemented? Has it been implemented by the federal government?
To you, Mr. Mayor, it was passed in the budget, but it won't be effective until 2019.
2019.
That's correct.
Okay. That's all I have to know. Thank you very much for that. Okay, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, City of Thorold Age-Friendly Support for Community Recognition. Councillor Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Ugolini, that whereas the Age-Friendly Committee has been a very active since inception in 2015, having reached many milestones and hosting many successful events, and whereas the Age-Friendly Committee wishes to make application to the Ministry of Seniors Affairs Age-Friendly Communities Recognition Award that celebrates and showcases Ontario communities that are taking steps to become age-friendly and is aimed at recognizing the efforts and achievements of communities engaged in age-friendly initiatives and highlight practices and encourages knowledge exchange. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Thorold Council provides its support to the Age-Friendly Committee to make submission of the subject application under Category 1 Community Action Plan.
Thank you, Councillor. Are any comments on this one? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, we're into statements by councillor, which councillors, that was similar to other business. So keep that in mind. Statement by councillors. Are there any statements from councillors?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if councillors wanted to bring up a subject matter, they needed to notify the clerk by noon on Monday, and I've received nothing.
Okay. Notices of motions. We're into notices of motions. Councillor Hanley.
I'll just let you know, it's my intention in the meeting in March to bring a notice of motion forward to amendments to the procedure bylaws per council and delegates, seeing that we've already broken the rules that's set out by procedure bylaws, so I feel that there's amendments to be made. And I didn't submit any comments previous to it being passed by council, but now that I see that it's been passed by council and we've already broken some of the procedures, I believe that there's time that we need to make amendments to it. So I'm looking to bring forward, I'm giving you a pre-notice that I'm probably in March, I'm going to bring some items forward to council for reconsideration in regards to procedure bylaws. Can I do that?
May I suggest that we can sit down and go through the procedure bylaw and have a little bit more training before we undergo another review of this?
Well, it's just that seeing tonight for delegates, our procedural bylaw we just passed at 3. We've already got over it.
There were 3 presentations.
And they had the opportunity. You asked the question?
No, it's the amount of people we allow.
You were upset because they answered your question. They were answering your question, and you had a problem with that.
No, they were getting into a discussion in regards to it. It wasn't a complete answer to my question. My answer to my question could have been a simple yes or no. My question was, if you want to bring it forward again, are you able to supply to me at this moment any documentation which shows the homes in Winterberry which are currently rented by Brock students and leases expiring in 2018? That was my question. They didn't answer that question. It could have been simple, yes we do, or no we don't. They were allowed to continue to speak for a substantial amount of time. So that's my point. I asked them a direct question. That was it. I got it written right here. So I have to mention it again. And they could have simply said, yes we do, or no we don't. You allowed them to continue on, Mr. Mayor, for a substantial amount of time, but yet when I tried to speak, you were seizing me that opportunity. So that's my point with procedure bylaw. We already broke it tonight in regards to what was written and how we were going to operate council. And what are we doing? It's either one way or the other. You either be to the point, ask a question and answer a question, or you allow people to discuss it endlessly as they did. That's my point.
Are there any other notice of motions? Councillor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not quite sure I want to do this, but I think we have to do it sooner rather than later. I tried to do it 2 years ago, and it's reared its ugly head tonight. So I want to bring transit service in Thorold. back as a notice of motion. I think we need to clean it up once and for all instead of piecemealing it. I said that before, so that'll be a notice of motion I'll bring forward. And I also may bring a second one, which is parking in Thorold, but I'll see how our discussion goes later on tonight. But I just want to be prepared in case I need to. Thank you.
Okay. You'll work with, pardon me?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Longo, can you please just elaborate on what exactly you're looking for in this notice of motion with regard to transit? And what date you're planning to bring this back?
The date will be either next meeting or the following meeting. How's
Okay,
that?
that's fine.
Fair enough. Transit services in Thorold. I want to look at basically the streets that we allow transit buses to operate on in the city of Thorold.
Okay. Okay.
Parking, either next meeting or the meeting after. And that will be in regard to current or new developments in Thorold and restricting parking to only one side of the street.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other notices of motion?
Maybe I didn't word that properly. The parking one.
Okay.
New developments that are either presently being constructed or future developments. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Those will come forward in 2 weeks' time. You'll work with the clerk on that to refine it, please. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to just call for a 5-minute break before we go into general committee. Before we go into general committee, Councilor Whalen has approached me, and he wants to put a notice of motion forward. And since we've left the notice of motion section of the agenda, I'm going to ask for a vote of council to allow us to go back so Councilor Whalen can put it in his notice of motion. And I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Councilor Whalen, what is your notice of motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I give some relay into why I'm asking for it? We had the vote about the replacing the bus line on Winterberry. It wasn't the fact I don't think the students need something. I didn't like the fact that we passed it a short period ago and then we tried to put it back again. I think when we do something like that, we need to stand by with what we do. So what I'd like to put a notice of motion forward for next meeting, that we put 2 runs in place, one for the morning peak period, one for the afternoon peak period, until April, just to alleviate the problem to get the students to school.
Okay. That's a notice of motion. First of all, is that a, Madam Clerk, would that be a reconsideration?
Yes.
Of course it would be, yeah.
Can't do it.
The time to have done it was tonight.
Well, you're going to have to make a ruling.
So a motion to reconsider a previous decision of council at a subsequent meeting may only be introduced by a councillor who was present at the meeting and voted the majority when the decision was made. Be introduced as a notice of motion, and it will require a 2/3 vote of councillors present.
So, Councilor Whaling, do you think this is a different motion? It seems like it's the same motion I had, and it's only, and you're revising it.
Motion, Mr. Mayor.
You believe it's, can you tell us why it's a brand-new motion?
Because it's just to get the peak period. It's not the full bus route that we had before.
Okay, I'm going to ask a ruling from council on it. If council will allow it, put the procedural bylaws aside. Councilor Hanley, then Councilor Longo.
Does it not state we're only allowed to reconsider a motion by council previous only once within a term of council? And I believe we're stepping a fine line here. We just reconsidered the bus route in regards to Winterberry, whether it be the same or indifferent. I believe the procedural bylaws, we're only allowed to consider it once, reconsider it once during a term of council. We reconsidered it, and that should have been posted as a friendly amendment to your motion, Mr. Mayor, I feel. And because that wasn't done, this shouldn't be brought forward to council again. We've already reconsidered it once, as per the procedural bylaw, once during a term of council.
Councilor Longo.
I'm thinking along the same lines as Councilor Hanley, but again, I'm not sure if we actually reconsidered it because we decided not to reconsider it.
That's right.
So I'd prefer not to, but that's just me.
You make a good point there. We didn't reconsider because we didn't. We voted against reconsidering it. We voted against bringing it on the floor.
If I may, and not know, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Pion and then Councilor Hanley.
Oh, I was simply going to make that same point. I think this has been discussed to death, but I don't even know if I want to keep discussing it. But just simply on the point of whether we consider it or not, no, we voted not to reconsider it. So we did not reconsider the motion. If we had voted to reconsider it, and then it didn't go the way of any councillor, and then that councillor wanted to reconsider again, then that would be a second reconsideration. But we haven't actually reconsidered.
We haven't reconsidered. Councilor Hanley.
I brought up the specific point, if you remember, before the holidays. I stated, if this is what you want to do, then every council meeting, I'm going to keep bringing up a notice of motion to reconsider something. So if you look at this as not a reconsideration, so next time we go and we don't get 2/3 majority vote for Council Whalen's reconsideration, then Councillor Neal's going to bring a motion forward to reconsider it, but reword it differently. And if he doesn't get a 2/3 majority vote, then it's going to be Councillor Ugolini. We reconsidered it, and it was lost. And if I read it between the lines, it states to be reconsidered once. We reconsidered it, and it was
defeat it. So if you look at it, reconsidering as being passed and then being reconsidered, that's not that kind of cruel. To me, when I read it between the lines, if I can state one more time, it says once during a term of council it shall be reconsidered. We reconsidered it and it was defeated.
Councilor Ugolini?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Well, you know how I voted. I voted like I would have liked to seen us continue that route until the end of April, and the route was coming off. I was all in favor of the route coming off, and then at the end of April, extend it to the end of April for the end of the school year for the safety because of the trucks in the mud and for the lease agreements. We did reconsider because we considered not to reconsider it. So that's reconsidering it. Because that's what we agreed to do here tonight. Well, it doesn't matter the way I voted. That's the way it went because we didn't get 2/3. If we wanted to do what Tim wanted to do, then we should have reconsidered to have the debate. And then once we had the debate, he could have made an amendment to do that.
That's what I just said.
But we didn't get to the debate.
So it's done.
So unfortunately, we didn't get to the debate. But we didn't. So you know what? Next time we better think thoroughly what we're doing before we do it.
Okay, I guess, Tim, that's lost. I think the problem is we have a new set of laws that we have to follow, and this is the first time through it. It'll get better as we go along. Okay, we're at the general committee. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Are there any conflicts of interest? Seeing none, we do not have any delegations.
Do you have bylaws, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, we didn't, sorry,
No.
just point of order. Did we actually finish the previous meeting?
Yeah, we finished that.
We didn't finish bylaws.
No, because I have a signed thing here that I didn't read yet.
So you resolve into general committee, you
Okay.
deal with your general committee reports, and then you resolve back into council and pass all of the bylaws.
Okay, got it, thank you. Just, that's why I said point of clarification. I just wanted to, or point of order.
Okay, everybody straight on that? I'll call for reports to be brought forward for consent. Are there any of the items under consent that you would like to speak on? Seeing none? I'll call the question on, can I get a mover for all the consent reports? Councilor Ugolini? Speak, again, there's no items to be pulled. I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, did that. And then we'll move to the discussion reports. DES 2018-02 has been pulled. It'll be brought back the next meeting. DF 2018-03 data storage appliance. Who is that? Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendations of the report are that council provide a pre-budget approval for the additional cost of $5,000 for the capital project for data storage appliance to be funded from the computer reserve. Number 2, that staff be authorized with the purchase of data storage appliance from Dell Canada for $24,343.67 plus HST. Number 3, that staff be authorized with the purchase to install electrical services at a cost of $1,523 plus HST from Crown Electric. And 4, that the remaining balance of the capital budget be utilized for any miscellaneous items required to connect the appliance to the existing infrastructure. That concludes the report.
Thank you. Can I get a mover for the report? Councilor Whalen?
So move the report.
Speakers to the report. Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Where are we going here? I need a motion to ratify recommendations from General Committee. Councillor Hanley.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Longo, that council adopt those items approved by General Committee on January 16, 2016. Is that the one? That's the form I have in front of me.
We missed,
That's the one.
PES 2018.
It's coming up.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
That was deferred.
That was pulled.
I did say that, it was deferred.
Are we talking Ann Street or parking?
Both have been deferred.
So then moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Longo, that council adopt those items approved by General Committee on January 16, 2018.
All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Now we move into bylaws. First reading of a bylaw. Councillor Whalen, you have three.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Wilson. I guess I have to change that, being that he's gone. So, can you second it, Fred? Okay. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Neal, that leave be given to introduce the following bylaws. Bylaw number 1-2008 as amended. Bylaw number 2, 2018. Bylaw number 3, 2018. Not that this be read first time.
All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Neal, that the bylaws just read a first time be read a second and third time and do pass, that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same, any rule to this council to the contrary notwithstanding.
All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. What's that part there? Council committee and board meeting minutes. Councillor Pion.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Hanley. The council receive and file the minutes of the committees of council, local boards as presented.
Thank you, Councillor. Any discussion on the items under this topic? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Adjournment, Councillor Longo.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Ugolini, that this meeting is hereby adjourned at 8:23 p.m.
All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. That's it. No special council.